So now we will discuss about the examples of transformations of kinetic energy into potential energy and vice versa. It means from potential energy to kinetic energy also. Kinetic energy to potential, potential to kinetic energy. Now, as we all know that there are also different types of energies. That is magnetic energy, light energy, sound energy, solar energy, okay, chemical energy. So many types of energy, electrical energy. So there are also the energy can be transformed or convert from this kind of energy to all these types, from each type of energy to another. So there are so many examples given in the book. Okay, I am not discussing about all this. Okay, now here I will discuss about the example, that is transformation or conversion of kinetic energy into potential energy and kinetic energy. Okay, now through one example, through one a very simple example, we can see, okay, we can show that is kinetic energy and potential energy are transforming, are transiting into each other. Okay, now suppose when we throw any object against gravity. So initially the body of the stone was at rest in our hand, so it possesses no energy. As soon as we throw, okay, against gravity, it attains some height, it means distance, so it will grab the gravitational potential energy. Okay, so when it will be at rest at the topmost, okay, when it will attain the maximum height. Now as we have known that is potential energy is nothing but the energy possessed due to change in its position. So since from ground now it has attained a height h, so it will have energy which is called gravitational potential energy, that is mgh. So during at rest, its kinetic energy plus potential energy was 0. So when it is changes position, when we throw the stone, okay, in between, initially it was at rest, it means no energy, but meanwhile as soon as it is thrown, okay, in between this journey it possesses both kinetic energy and potential energy. Now, okay, since its height is gradually increasing, clear, so its potential energy is increasing and kinetic energy is decreasing. Why? Because when we throw any object against gravity, so after attaining maximum height, it becomes at rest for momentarily, it means velocity is less. So as soon as it is attaining some height, it is going at a state with zero velocity. It means its velocity slowly and gradually decreases. So that's why after attaining maximum height, velocity becomes less. So it means when we throw, its velocity is maximum. So initially during throwing, its energy, kinetic energy was maximum, isn't it? At this level, just after releasing from the ground, from the hand, kinetic energy maximum, potential energy is decreases. So as soon as it is going to attain maximum height, kinetic energy is decreasing, and that decrease in kinetic energy is turning into increase in kinetic energy. It means it loses kinetic energy. That lost kinetic energy is stored in the form of kinetic energy. Maximum height, when it is stopped after attaining the maximum height, total energy is converted into gravitational potential energy. Kinetic energy is 0. Why? Because velocity is 0, the body is at rest. We all know that kinetic energy is possessed by a body due to its motion, velocity, half mv². So at the top it possesses only potential energy. Okay. Now as soon as, so here kinetic energy is transformed into potential energy. Now for a very small period of time, momentarily it will be at rest, and again due to gravitational attraction, gravity, under the gravity, it will just again try to come down against gravity. So as soon as it will, when it will just come towards the gravity, notice its height will be decreasing, isn't it? So since its height is decreasing, so now its potential energy is decreasing, and what is forming? Kinetic energy. It is gradually occupying kinetic energy. Since from rest, it started its journey from rest, and then it is, okay, initially before starting its journey it was at rest, and just after it is launched it started its velocity, so kinetic energy again at rest. After attaining maximum height it becomes at rest. From rest again it is occupying some velocity, and due to velocity kinetic energy increases. So it means meanwhile, so from downward to upward, kinetic energy initially kinetic energy was maximum, potential energy was minimum. So in this journey, kinetic energy was decreasing, potential energy was increasing. At the topmost height, total energy is converted into potential energy, kinetic is zero. When it is coming down, potential energy is slowly and gradually decreasing, and that lost potential energy is converting into kinetic energy. It means potential energy is decreasing, kinetic energy is increasing. Meanwhile, in between both potential energy plus kinetic energy, we cannot say 50-50, 60-40, it is impossible. Then just before coming down the ground, entire energy is kinetic energy. Potential energy is zero because just before getting the ground, height is zero, mgh, h is zero. So in this way, the kinetic energy is converting into potential energy is converting into kinetic energy. Very easy example. Clear? Now again, there are so many examples. Now if we place an object on a spring and if we compress it, isn't it, in a block, then if we release, it will just thrown. It is just thrown outside. Why is it happening here? Because when we are pressing the spring, it means we are compressing it, it means it is possessed elastic potential energy, isn't it? Already we have learned. So that's energy is stored inside the spring due to change its shape and size, and this energy is working here. Okay, this energy is converting into the kinetic energy of the block and it is just thrown away. So many examples, isn't it? So next is the principle of conservation of energy. Okay, I think you may have read in junior classes, principle of conservation of energy. It clearly states that, you all know, energy can be neither created nor destroyed. Okay, the entire energy in this world or this universe is conserved. It means before the creation of the world, what was the total amount of energy during the creation of this universe is equal to total amount of energy. Okay, now clear. So what does it mean? It means whatever is happening, isn't it? It is just like, what can I say? It is, we assume, just like the formation of rain, isn't it? Okay, in water bodies, what does it happen? In water bodies, okay, the water vaporized, isn't it? The water evaporate and is stored, okay, and it's generally move in the upward direction, and when it's soaked, and when this dry and the warm, okay, dry and what can you say, vapor, okay, when it comes in contact with cold air, it becomes condensed, then it turns into a heavy raindrop, and with the attraction of the gravity it falls towards the gravity. So it means everything is happening inside the sphere. So if we consider this universe, okay, where this is the rain cycle, okay, water bodies, water is evaporating, okay, the warm air, okay, it is evaporating in the upward direction, the warm and the hot water vapor moves in the upward direction, and then coming in contact with the cold air, it condensed, it turns into water drop, and due to attraction of the gravitational force, it again comes down. It means everything is taking from here, again return back. So nothing is coming from the outside. There is no role of outside. So in the same way, if we consider our entire universe as a sphere, okay, so whatever is happening, suppose there are so many numerous bodies here, okay, so many conversion or transformation of energy are taking place here. Okay, kinetic energy is turning to potential energy to kinetic energy, electrical to heat energy, heat to mechanical, okay, solar energy to chemical energy, chemical to solar energy, so many energies you can see in the book. So it means when one body lost some amounts of energy, it is supplying energy to other body. It means, isn't it? Whatever, everything is happening inside this universe. So one body lost one form of energy, but it is not disappearing to anywhere else. It is just supplying its energy to other body. So suppose the total energy was 20. Okay. Now after transforming entire energy, it becomes 0. Then that body has become 20. Initially that body grabbed 0 energy. First body had 20 joule energy. So now during its transformation, it is 0, it is 20. If it provides half energy, 10 plus 10 is equal to 20. Then, so just like that. So the amount of energy lost by one body is generally possessed by another body. So the total at the end of the day, the resultant amount of energy is conserved. So this is called the principle of conservation of energy. We cannot create, isn't it? When we light any candle, isn't it? So generally we have seen that after the melting of a huge candle, if we collect the melted wax, we cannot form that length of wax, isn't it? But if it is possible, because some of the gases are generally disappear in the air, if we collect all these and if we measure all the energies, we will see total energy before burning and after burning is same. Clear? So all these, okay. When coal is turned into ashes, isn't it? The inside there are carbon, and during burning it forms carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. Those are generally disappears in the environment. We cannot measure it. So generally, if we when we measure the total length or mass of the ash and the coal, we generally see the mass of the ash is less than that of coal. But if we make some arrangement, then we can collect all the energies, all the gases, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and if we then measure the total energy, we can see that the total energy inside the coal and after, okay, that gas, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide and the ash total are equal if it is possible. So in this means energy cannot be created, cannot be destroyed. Whatever you have taken from here, what will take from here? Okay, everything. So conserve. So we will just try to prove, that is to verify this law in case of a free falling body. Okay. So suppose there is a body. Okay. There is a body is at rest at some vertical height. A body is kept from ground and then it is kept at a vertical height h, a body of mass m. Then it will release, as we have already known, when it will at point A, it will grab only potential energy. As we release, slowly that potential energy will be converted into kinetic energy. In the midway, it will possess both kinetic energy plus potential energy, and just before, okay, when it is just before touching the ground, entire energy will be converted into kinetic energy. So now we will see. So we have considered here 3 points in the total path of the journey. So at point A, since the body is at a height from the ground, so total energy is in the form of gravitational potential energy, mgh. Okay. Now kinetic energy is 0 at point A because it is at rest, 0 velocity. So total mechanical energy is equal to kinetic energy plus potential energy equals to mgh plus 0 is equal to mgh. Okay. Now if we release it, when we will release it, its height will be reduced. So due to reduction in the height, its potential energy will be reduced and it will form its kinetic energy. Since it is from starting, it was at rest, and when you release, it possesses some velocity as well as some distance. So due to velocity, it will have kinetic energy, and since its height is not 0, is in the midway, it also have potential energy also. So at point B, potential energy is md into h minus x. Why? Total height was h. Now it has traveled some distance x. So what is this height? H minus x. H minus x. So now the body, the stone is at a height P, that is h minus x. So mg into h minus x, mgh minus mgx. Now since, so this is the potential energy, but since it has grabbed some velocity, so it must have some kinetic energy. So for calculating kinetic energy, we will use the equation v square equals to u square plus twice as. Clear? So since the body started this journey from at rest, so initial velocity is equal to 0. A is the acceleration. Since the body here acceleration is equal to acceleration due to gravity, since it is falling under gravity, so its acceleration is just acceleration due to gravity. S is the distance. It is grabbed, it is traveled x distance, so 2gx. So here v square is equal to 2gx. We have already known kinetic energy equals to half mv square. Putting the value cross, we get mgh. So both potential energy plus kinetic energy. So total mechanical energy at point B, that is at the midpoint, that is at the midway, is mgh, and B potential energy is mgh minus mgx, and kinetic energy is mgx. So plus mgx minus mgx cancel, we will have mgh. Now you can see at point A, total mechanical energy was mgh, at B also total mechanical energy mgh. Now if we can prove at point C it is also mgh, then we can say total energy is constant. Now at point C, when it will come at point C, since height is totally reduced to 0, so we can say potential energy is 0. its total energy will be in the form of kinetic energy, as we have already explained during conversion of kinetic energy to potential energy here. So now kinetic energy again, v square is equal to u square plus twice ax, twice as. A is g, and here s is h, because it has traversed the entire distance. Initially it was x, now it is complete. Total height was x, is what as h, it is assumed. So 2gh. Now kinetic energy is equal to half mv square, half m into v square, instead of mv square putting the value mgh. Potential energy is 0. So total mechanical energy is mgh plus 0 is equal to mgh. So now you can see at point A total mechanical energy was mgh. At point B total mechanical energy is mgh. At point C total mechanical energy is also mgh. It means throughout its journey, at each and every point, we can take any point here, here and here and here. So one energy loses, it is stored in the form of another energy. Kinetic energy converting into potential energy. Potential energy is converting into kinetic energy. Okay, so in this way total energy remains constant. Clear? Now it can also be proved in case of oscillation of a simple pendulum. Suppose at position A there is a bob, it is at rest. So at rest it grabs no, as I said, it possesses no energy. When we slightly displace towards the left side, at B you can see it possesses some height, it is at height h. Okay, so since at height h it will grab some potential energy mgh, and when it will, it is called amplitude. When it will be at point B, then after reaching the maximum point, isn't it, that is maximum amplitude, it will become at rest. So at that point, since rest, kinetic energy is 0, so total energy is in the form of potential energy. But again it will just, okay, come in the position here. So meanwhile, when it will travel from B to A, in the midway, just like this, it will possess both potential energy plus kinetic energy, indicated by P plus K. Okay, but initially when it was at rest at A, its total energy was 0. Okay, potential energy 0, kinetic energy 0. But since initially, now it has given some displacement. Okay, so it means it has given some velocity. Again it will move with some velocity, it will grab some velocity. But here, after moving from B to A, here potential energy is 0, but that potential energy is converted into kinetic energy. Okay, okay, and what is that? Is m half mv square is equal to mgh, as I have already learned. That is potential energy is converting into kinetic energy. With that kinetic energy, it is moving down. Okay, kinetic energy converting into potential energy. With that stored potential energy, it is coming with kinetic energy. So this kinetic energy equals to potential energy. So if we want to calculate the velocity of the bob, that is v is equal to 2gh. It means meanwhile in this place, its velocity, it will just oscillate with velocity toward 12gh. This is the value of the velocity. So again, so due to inertia of motion, it will move again from A to C. Here A potential energy is 0, but kinetic energy will be equal to mgh. What does it get? It gets the potential energy from B, grab. So again from A to C, it will again grab. So in between A to C, again it will have both potential energy and kinetic energy, since it is in motion, and also some height. So at C, again when it will attain maximum height h, again its kinetic energy becomes 0. Why? Because when it will be at C, for momentarily it will be at stop. Okay, so v is equal to 0. So again that kinetic energy is converted into potential energy, and so on in this way. Clear? So in this way, a total energy remains constant. mgh, mgh, mgh. So in this way we can prove that the entire universe, the energy, the total energy remains constant. Clear? Energy can neither be created nor can be destroyed. Only it can be transformed from one form to another. So that's why energy is remains constant.